Juana, another area that we've frequently been requested by clients to provide guidance on is how to deal with older employees who may be at higher risk. Can you provide some of the key considerations in this area?
Yes, we anticipate employers will be faced with employees saying they cannot return to the centralized workplace because they are older and deemed to be at greater risk of contracting COVID-19. Before COVID, usually employers wouldn't encounter accommodation obligations solely on the basis of age, but in the COVID-19 context, age on its own without any of the other medical conditions that Alex mentioned may lead to accommodation obligations for employers. As public health advice continues to evolve, we've started hearing how different ages for older adults who may make them more vulnerable, such as 60 and over from the WHO and Public Health Ontario, and in other cases 65 and over and 70 and over, with more recent dialogue of 50 and over. Whether an employee will be entitled to accommodation for only their age will depend on several factors that I'll go through. So the first one, their age, with the higher the number generally indicating greater vulnerability compared to younger employees. Second, the current information available from public health authorities about age-related vulnerability as knowledge about the virus continues to evolve. Then, whether the employee has also added health risk factors that may increase their vulnerability. And finally, the workplace context, such as if employees can properly physically distance, the number of employees attending work at once, any added health and safety practices like enhanced hygiene and PPE, and whether there is a requirement to touch shared surfaces or objects. There may be workplaces that minimize risk to older adults, such as a workspace with a large space with individual offices and few employees attending, but there may be other workplaces where the risk factors continue to be significant for older employees. For example, where employees might work closely together or can't properly distance and may touch contaminated surfaces. Approaching this issue will really be nuanced and will vary in each case. Because there is so much uncertainty and these factors alone won't always give a clear answer, I recommend employers consistently provide medical letters to employees who request accommodation for their age. This will help employers to navigate the uncertainty, particularly for employees who are just older and do not have an underlying medical condition, because in those cases, their vulnerability might be less certain. In these medical letters, what employers can do is to set out the measures they've put in place and the workplace context and the risk, and then get the treating physician's medical opinion about the risks in that particular context for that particular employee and whether the employee should actually return to work or not. And finally, employers should also be cautious that if employees themselves do not request accommodation for their age, that employers do not predetermine or ask if an employee who is older is too vulnerable to return to work. Even though employers may intend to ask about an employee's age in an effort to accommodate, doing so would actually be violating human rights legislation by singling out employees on the basis of age, which would be discriminatory. So employers should really be cautious.